Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Pitter Patter Be Poppin'. I'm here with Purple Wokey, again, of course, the
I'm
number
always
one Pitter
here.
Patter
I'm
Pop
ready to
player
talk.
in America, actually, Purple Wokey.
Exactly. I believe in California I currently hold the title for number 1 and then number 2 is my brother.
Right, exactly. That's the official rankings from Araki himself.
Yeah, Araki himself gave me like a letter and he says, "You now wear the headband of number 1 and now I just
Hmm
wear it and people respect me."
JoJo Part 9 is going to be about that, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be about the world's greatest pitter-patter pop players having to fight each other.
Yep.
One
That's
has the number 1 headband and can be only challenged by the number 2 headband, and the number 2 headband has to wear it in order to challenge number 1 and find him, but then everyone can challenge the number 2 headband. It's going to be
exactly.
great.
Exactly.
And his name will be Jose Joestar will be the I really
Perfect.
pushed for the first Spanish JoJo character. I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, thank God that you were so good at Pitter Patter Pop that he was willing to hear you out on getting that name.
Yeah, I feel like that's a respect. Like game recognized game, and he automatically got me in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so I think a good addition to the big boy scale this week would be the JoJos, because we have not actually done them yet because
Yeah,
of the starter characters.
yeah,
But it would
yeah.
be
That's
good to know
usually
it
our
though.
mo.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. It's good. This many episodes in, people should know how these guys are. I
yeah,
think
it's
they're
been a
finally
while.
ready for the
Like
scale.
we need to at least talk. Although for Giorno, we're gonna talk about the new one that just came out instead of the old Giorno because he's cooler. That's
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 fair.
my
You
rule.
always got to go with the new sexy thing.
Exactly. So first up, we have Jonathan Joestar. What are your thoughts on Jonathan
Everyone's favorite.
Joestar? Everyone's favorite JoJo.
Everyone's favorite JoJo. I say laughing, even though I really like
Yeah,
Jonathan.
you're like one of the people who actually really loves Jonathan.
I really do love Jonathan. Like, there's no. I will quote you Jonathan quotes when nobody will ever understand except for you. When I say luck and pluck, you understand what I mean.
Yeah, so
If
Jonathan
possible.
is good. He's a yellow tile. So, I mean, that only
Mhm.
really matters in yellow tile missions, but it's good to know. And he's a tile changer, so he turns tiles into his own, and he makes a big old pattern smack in the center of the board. So you get a big old
Oof.
mid-board tile. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Hmm
Now, here's the thing: is that I feel like this is missing from this Jonathan. Let me just get off right at the bat. A lot of it is presentation, and I really feel like you don't get the full Jonathan unless you get my favorite version of Jonathan, which is the one where after he learns about Haman, he picks up a giant rock and says, "Look, I can pick up this rock," not realizing that because of his stupid bulky ass strength, he could probably already pick up the
Yeah,
rock.
considering all like he ripped that metal spear out of that statue's hands earlier.
Yeah. Like that rock shouldn't be a problem. And I think it would have been great if like his little sprite, like with because the art style in Pitter Patter Pop is just so fucking adorable. If he had like a tiny little rock to go with him.
Like one of his idle animations was he just pulled the rock out and just held it up.
Yeah, I just held it up and it was like, and then he was like astonished. He was like, "Oh my god, the rock!" And then
You
I would
gotta you
also
gotta
want
tell
like a,
Iraqi about that next time you meet up
I
with him.
gotta tell him. And then when there's like little like discussions between the characters, he can go like, "Look at the power of Haman. I can pick up a rock," and then every other character can react.
Now I need him doing
It'd be
that, and then
perfect.
Joseph doing the oh my god.
Oh my god. He's like, I can't believe it. It's a fucking
He's
rock.
picking up that rock. Holy shit.
He could kill a man with that rock. Nope,
He could. You
easy.
don't even need Hamon. You can just beat him with the rock.
Yeah. So those are my comments for him right there. Is I would have really wished he had the little rock. But in terms of a unit, how do you feel he stacks up?
He's very
Ha,
good
get it?
of the starter stacks up because
Sorry, go ahead.
uh,
I
of
use
the
that joke
starter
every single week.
JoJo's.
Never gets.
Never gets old. That is joke number 168th use of that joke on this show.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Never
Uh,
gets old.
so yeah, of the five starter JoJos, he is probably the best one. He's generally accepted as the best one. Depending on teammate, you could probably make an argument that Giorno is a little better than him, but we're not even talking about that Giorno today, so fuck him.
Yeah.
Jonathan is the best one. He's
I'm
very
gonna take that audio,
consistent.
just
Yeah, probably.
use it
Probably.
out of context, use it everywhere.
Uh, Jonathan's very consistent. He does need a partner to be as good as he can be, like to maximize himself, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Most people need a good partner.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to give Jonathan a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree. I think a 4 out of 5 fits perfectly well. If he had had that rock, it would have been a perfect 5 out of 5 big boy.
If only. God, if only.
Man. It would have been a good little side joke. But it's also a side joke that I recognize is that I'm probably one of the very few people that remember.
I don't know. That's kind of a meme. Isn't that a JoJo meme? That he picks up the fucking rock?
The problem is that there's so many memes from part one that the Dio memes just 100% just overshadow everything.
That's true.
Like Dio has like at least 3 from the first one. So those are the ones everyone thinks about, and then probably next would be Speedwagon's fucking hat, the one that turns into a blade.
Also, Speedwagon narrating himself in the third person.
Yes, exactly. So by the time you get to Jonathan, even then, when you think of a Jonathan meme, it's when he picks up that sword and he says, and that guy says to, I think it's Blue for it, he says, all you need is, and then he looks at the sword and he says, luck, and then he puts blood on it and it says pluck, and he goes, pluck, and then nothing else is needed to be said.
That's pretty solid. So, all right, so we got a 4 out of 5 for Jonathan Joestar.
Respectable.
So, moving along the list to Joseph Joestar next. What are your thoughts on Joseph Joestar?
I need a little bit more time to think about Joseph Joestar. Why don't you tell him about the unit real quick, and as I ruminate on my thoughts. As the world's greatest, I can't just go out there and say my opinions, and then everyone gets like, stocks drop when I talk about Bitter Pop. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. You could seriously fuck up the economy.
Exactly. So why don't you give the people what he does real quick?
All right. So he, like his grandfather Jonathan, is a tile changer. However, his pattern is random. So he is less consistent, but because he drops in a specific pattern, you could still get some pretty good combos off of it. His cooldown when you get him to max is 75, which is a little on the low side, but not terrible. It's definitely workable. So yeah, he's Jonathan with a higher ceiling, but a much lower floor. He's just less consistent, so he's less reliable.
Yeah, and I'm gonna guess people like to put up with it because of the JoJo that he is.
Because he is Joseph, yeah. Also, his little sprite guy, he will, whenever you zoom in on him in like his room, because you know how everyone has their rooms, of course. When you zoom in on Joseph's room, sometimes he will change outfits into the Tequila Joseph when he tries to sneak into the Mexican base. So he puts on the dress and he pulls out a bottle of tequila.
Perfect. I think that's a good look for him. It's probably one of the easiest things that you could go like, oh man, this could be really bad, but turns out it's actually very good.
Yes.
Because he's like, because he attacks those guards and it's like, how dare you? First of all, I'm a woman. How dare you treat a woman like this? It's terrible. But I love him.
And then they scream tacos when he beats them.
Again, I talked to Aragi about this. We're bringing back the tacos for part 9. Every enemy.
Imagine Jonathan beating Dio, and as he's falling, he just screams tacos.
Tacos!
Off the side of the cliff.
Slowly getting frozen. All right, spoilers for part 1. Skip like 30 seconds when he's holding on to Dio's head. And he just whispers tacos
as he's dying on the boats.
Perfect.
Man.
This is the perfect heartwarming scene. One thing I really do actually like about this unit is that they've actually incorporated some of the things I would say specific about that part 2 JoJo is that it's the tile change is random, which I think it actually kind of goes well with the character at that point where it's like you can't actually predict where the strategy is coming from, and it actually kind of feels like it's being made up on the spot. So
yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like I like it when a gacha goes in the little extra mile of going like, okay, no, I think I understand why this is random. It's because it's based off of this specific JoJo, and his JoJo characteristic for this one was that he was able to kind of come up with stuff on the spot and act accordingly that way. So I like that his unit actually plays to that kind of mind style. So if you want to just like go full on like, okay, I'm RPing as this JoJo, how would he act in this situation? That's how you would do it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Also, his special attack, which I love, is the Hamon Clackers. It's the Clacker Boomerang.
Oh, that's a really good one. There's
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of good
really
moves
good.
you could give him. Yeah, so how do you feel on the big boy scale he fits?
I'm going 5 out of 5 for Joseph. Between the tequila outfit and the Hamon Clackers, and like you said, the deep lore here, I'm going
Yeah.
5 out of 5.
Yeah, he feels really well built and everything. I like him too. I'm gonna go 5 out of 5.
All right, so we got a 5 out of 5 on old Joseph Joestar. So now here's the question. Next up on the list is, of course, Jotaro Kujo, but there are two of him. Do we do
Ooh.
Stardust Crusaders or Diamond is Unbreakable, Jotaro?
This is a tough. I literally like the costume of Diamond is Unbreakable, Jotaro.
Yeah, that's a really good outfit.
So let's go with that one. At this point, people are going to assume we'll have to save him for another episode. The
Okay,
Stardust Crusaders.
that's fair. So, Diamond is Unbreakable, Jotaro, aka 4 Taro, aka Part 4 Jotaro. He is the best version of Jotaro in the game by like a lot, a lot. He is also
Mm-hmm.
the best character in the game by like a lot, a lot. The downside, of course, being
Yeah, I
that
feel.
he is limited, so you cannot get him anymore. His
Mm.
ability is Fat Broken. So basically, what he does is he stops time, which means that the timer clock doesn't run while his ability is active.
Mm-hmm.
And he does, like, you can still break tiles while the time is frozen. And then all the tiles that you break get a damage multiplier while time is stopped. So he does crazy damage, and he charges up everybody's skill gauges really well because of the damage that he's doing, and the timer doesn't run. And literally, the only way to lose is when the timer runs out. So he makes the matches take longer. I've had a game with him go for like 7 or 8 minutes before, just because he can stop the clock so much.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. Also, the tiny star platinum that floats behind him is appropriately colored white, just like the Part 4 star platinum is.
That's a good level of detail. Again,
Yes.
appreciate the art of Pitter Patter Pop.
And the pose that he does when he freezes time is the arm over arm with his fist up, star platinum the world pose. It's really good.
It's a good pose.
Hmm.
Man, they really did all the stops for this Jotaro. It sounds
Yes.
like.
Yes. He is pretty much like, he might as well be the mascot of this game because everyone knows him and how ridiculous he is, and he's just phenomenal, and everyone's very upset that they can't get him right now.
I think that's a good sign of a limited character. It's the annoying thing about a limited character, but if a character is limited, they should be actually worth. There should be a worth to what he is, which is fucked up when you think about the grand scheme of the game of like, oh, it sucks that I can't get this character. But also his limitedness is why he's so good also, because like not everyone can have him. And so because he's limited, you got to make him crazy good. Because if he was always in the game, then you would create a terrible situation of one of the best characters in the game could just always be gone at any point.
Right. Not that that's
And then,
inherently bad, but if you're going to make a character limited, they gotta be worth it.
yeah, exactly. That's the basic thing. If it's going to be limited, they better be damn worth. That's actually a problem Legends ran into with Beerus, which is now funny because he's now going to be on
Yeah.
every banner. So that's the bad way of doing it, of where it's like, it's not a big deal if you get him, but also now he's always going to be there, and when you get him, you go, God damn it,
Yeah, pretty
this
much.
sucks.
And they released another limited with Gohan, and then Gogeta completely outshadowed him like immediately.
Yes, this is the problem with limited stuff. If they're not good enough, you want a good level of what I'm saying is good. You want them to be good, but in a way that's, I guess, unique, that a unit just can't be released and automatically invalidate them in every sense of the word.
Right, that would be bad.
Yes, that's terrible. And thankfully, I don't think this Jotaro really does that. Everyone recognizes him as the best, but that doesn't mean like later down the road there won't be other good units that will be in the banner that you can also get. It will
Right,
just be
like the number 2 character in the game right now is Fugo, of course,
Mhm.
and he's in every banner. He's not limited at all, so he's the guy
Exactly.
everybody wants when they're trying to play. So they want to get their hands on that Fugo.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, I really like this dude. I think he's the only negative you could really say is that he's limited, and even then, that limited, your mileage may vary about whether or not you think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's cool for collectors who were playing at the time. It just sucks for people that came in later. But I do think
Exactly.
eventually he'll come back. I mean, they'll probably bring him back for like the anniversary. I think the
It is
first year will
Jotaro.
probably have every limited guy back.
Yes, yeah. That's what you do for a year anniversary. Is that eventually the limited dudes will come back. It's just a matter of when, and if you can hold yourself into saying like, I love this guy so much, I'm just gonna wait until he's actually available.
Yes. Yes.
Basically, I'm saying is that everyone needs to be Goresh with his want for Metal Cooler,
With his
but you
love
need
for
to do
Metal
that.
Cooler, but you need to be it for Diamond is Unbreakable Jotaro.
Exactly. You have to imagine every banner with Jotaro's head on the main character's face.
Yes, please do that. That's
Yes,
good
do that.
strategy. So
Yeah.
what's your scale
So I'll
ranking?
just. I think you gotta get. I feel like because of just how crazy good this guy is, this is another character that's gonna. This is a character that breaks the scale a bit, just
Yeah, I
because of.
agree. I think this is a scale defining character for sure.
Definitely, I think I'm gonna go with. I think I'm gonna give him a 10.
Yeah,
I
I
think
was
that just
also
makes
going
sense
10
to
out of
me.
5. Yep.
Yeah, it's very rare that a unit like this drops in and is just so devastating to everything.
Yeah, dominant is like the only word. There's no content that he's bad in.
He's in the Hall of Fame right next to Dai and STR Gogeta of Dokkan's days.
Yep, pretty
Like,
much.
in terms of like when this unit showed up, you either had them or you fucked up. That's the easy way of putting it. You
Yep, pretty
wish
much.
you wish you started right when they were released.
And then you didn't, so now there's egg on your face.
Exactly.
All
Definitely.
right, so 10 out of 5. So we'll move on
Yeah.
to the actual JoJo of part 4, Josuke Higashikata.
Is that how you say his last name?
It's how they say it in the dub, so
Okay, fair enough.
I'm willing
I
to trust them.
go for it. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with trusting a dub,
So
unless it's
he
like from the
is,
early '80s.
funny enough, he's like the only one. Well, I guess because we did part 4 Jotaro, this holds true. But he's the first one of the 3 that's panel isn't yellow. Jonathan, Joseph, and part 4 Jotaro all have yellow panels. Josuke has a pink panel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hmm. Shows that he's different from the rest in some way.
Yes. Yes. So his ability is also not random, but it is tile changing. So he makes an interesting pattern where he cuts out the square in the center, and then he makes like the L-shaped Tetris piece in the corner. So he makes
Ooh.
the 4 corners and then the square in the middle. So that on its own isn't that great because when you use it in stand-up time, it doesn't make a big combo on its own. But if you
Mm.
combo him with someone like Pesci, who makes more of Josuke's tiles and then he pulls them all together, you can make some really big combos off of Josuke's ability. Also, he has a tiny Crazy Diamond, and Crazy Diamond is really cool looking, so it's adorable when it's tiny like that.
Of course, yes. The again, I think with the art in Pitter Patter Pop is some of the greatest out there for gotchas in terms of pure adorableness.
Yes, it's extremely cute. I will say that his sprite lacks some fun animations. I mean, he combs his hair, which is funny
Mm,
because it's Josuke. But
of
I
course.
mean, and then he has like the I don't even know who he's actually talking to when he makes this face, but he does the pose he does right at the end of Diamond is Unbreakable, where he does like the weird hip stand.
Oh yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah, the one everyone thinks of when they think of Josuke, except for the not the one where his hands are up above and below his head, but the other
Yes.
one where he's like pushing his back inward and his like ass is all the way out. He does that one.
His peak form is what you're
Yes,
saying.
primary Josuke. And then he has another one where he just looks very confused at what's going on. He's like smiling, but he's got the anime lines on his forehead and he's got the sweat drifts.
Is that the one from when he's playing against when he's cheating?
That's what I
It's
was
pretty
thinking it
clear.
was when he's cheating against Rohan.
Yeah, that I feel like that's what my word would be from. But if that's it, that's a little bit especially because it is Josuke. You think like they would have a little bit more in there?
Yeah, it is a
Like
shame that he doesn't do, the trademark Josuke pose that everybody knows.
he doesn't even have like when someone insults his hair, his angry face.
Nope. Nope.
Like I would think in my mind, like yeah, that'd be one of the things definitely put on him. So I was also gonna say if there was another thing that you could do, it's healing someone and then beating them up. But I'm not 100% sure if they could just have him have someone show up,
Just to
get
get beat up.
and they get healed. To
That
do
does
his thing.
remind me that his animation, his special attack animation, is Crazy Diamond punches your phone screen and shatters it, and then repairs it.
Oh, that's really good. Again, very fun playfulness of what the unit is known for.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, definitely 100% great. It's just because it's a little bit tough to think about. I do like that he makes the L-shaped piece from Tetris, only because I think
He makes four
of
of them.
he makes 4 of them. Yeah, though I think of the Tetris shapes, not including the big one and the fat one, the L shape is definitely 3 in my mind.
Well, he
for
makes the
Tetris
fat
shapes.
one in the middle too.
Oh, see, there you go. He makes 2. He doesn't make the number 1 Tetris piece, but he makes the 2 and 3.
Yeah.
On. Oh no, what are you feeling for this dude?
I'm thinking a 4 out of 5 is appropriate.
Yeah.
I think the
really
Crazy Diamond
like
animation helps him a lot. I think if he didn't have that, he would be 3 out of 5.
That's what I was feeling. Is a 3 out of 5. I feel as an overall gameplay sense, but then I think 4 out of 5 is pretty good. I just wish if he had just a little bit more like stuff that from him. Maybe they're saving him for like another one. Of like, well, when we do another one, that's when you're gonna get a lot of the fun little animations from him.
Oh yeah,
like
maybe.
That's when you're getting like his dance from the opening. Maybe he'll do a little bit of dance there. He'll take out a juice box, whatever you need, all your classic.
And fall out the window.
Exactly, a window will show up and he'll fall out of it. But I think 4 out of 5 is appropriate for him. I think that's pretty good.
All right. Yeah, we're bound to get a version 2 Josuke eventually. We now have 3. Well, we have 2 version 2s and 1 version 3 because there are 3 Giornos in the game.
Well, yeah, so it's coming. The day is coming.
Yeah, we're going to get him at some point. There's 2 Jotaros, 2 Brunos, and 3 Giornos. So it's on the way, people.
Yeah, hold your horses.
Take it easy. Yeah.
Hold your whole horses.
Whole horse is also in the game. So let's get into the last guy, brand new, just released, Giorno Giovanna. He's one of the only 2 voiced characters in the game. There's a Bruno that he yells sticky fingers, he does the Ari 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 stand cry, and then he says arrivederci when you finish a stage. It's great.
Perfect then.
The Giorno, he screams gold experience. He does the muda 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 when you do his ability. And then when you finish a stage, he I don't even know what he says because it's like an entire line from the show. I think it's the exact lines he says when he kills White Album.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like 4 sentences. It's wild.
That's insane.
Also, it's great because the normal characters, of course, have their stands floating behind them or like hanging out around them, like Star Platinum or whatever. But the voiced characters, their stands are like hugging their bodies. Like Bruno's, I'm pretty sure it's designs from their like concept art or like album or like covers and stuff. Like Sticky Fingers has his arm around Bruno's waist and his head is coming out from behind Bruno's head. Giorno is the reverse of the pose that he has where he introduces Gold Experience. So remember when Gold Experience comes out with like his hand on his hip and Giorno has his arms around his neck? It's the reverse of that. Giorno has his hand on his hip, and then Gold Experience has his arms draped around Giorno's shoulders.
Very nice, very classy.
Yeah, yeah, very good character. He turns tiles into Giorno tiles, similar to Jonathan or Joseph or Josuke, but he's got an added benefit in that if he changes a tile that is already a Giorno tile, or it's a tile that's been blocked off by somebody, he charges it, so it does bonus damage. So he's the only tile changer that can't overlap their tile and just waste it, because if he does overlap one of their tiles, instead of wasting it, he charges the damage that the tile will do.
Hmm. Interesting.
And he has a very good combo with Abakio, which I like because Passione gang, you got to keep the combos canon.
Exactly. The
Mhm.
best combos are canon.
Yeah, so Giorno, he does a horizontal row on the bottom three. So he does the fourth and fifth row, all of his, and then the middle two of the sixth row. So if you can fill in the last four empty spots with Giorno tiles, you fill all three rows. And then you can use Abakio's Moody Blues, which copies the bottom three rows and pastes them over the top three rows for an entire board of Giorno. It's just one giant gold experience head.
Very nice, which is a welcome sight to see. It's a fun
I
combo.
do love gold experience, and I do like just getting to have because Abakio generally is not very good.
Mhm.
So it's cool to have characters come out that make those not very good characters good. Like Zeppeli is kind of meh, Mista is kind of meh, but Fugo makes both of them really good. And so Giorno is kind of Abakio's Fugo in that he kind of sucks, but when he's with Giorno, he ends up doing crazy shit. Like their combo
Mhm.
and score attack
It's
right
something.
now, because they're boosted, it does like 1.5 million every time you do that combo.
Yeah. It's something that Or Collection used to have where a character would be released, but then he would also elevate other characters who were previously either underutilized or just like weren't good enough. But then all of a sudden it's like actually with this guy on the team, he makes a kind of meh character good. Like actually fun to use again, which is fun. That's like the best way of like elevating a character is when a one character doesn't just make isn't just good himself, it makes everyone around him better.
Right. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite things about the new Giorno is that because Abakio, in my opinion, has one of the coolest abilities in this game, where he copies the bottom three rows, swaps them into the top three rows. Like that's just weird and cool because Moody Blue is like, how would you apply that in a combat sense? And they could have easily done some dumb shit like, oh, he just changes tiles like everyone else does. But instead, they decided to make
Yeah.
him cool and unique, and it just so happens that his uniqueness sucked until now.
It's the cost of sometimes being unique is that sometimes unique needs to take a while for people to understand why it's good. Or it
Exactly.
just takes yeah. Because it doesn't fit with the mold with everyone else, you have to think outside the box. And sometimes it's like, well, the way to think outside the box isn't available to us yet. But then suddenly in comes a dude with voice lines, and it's like suddenly the box is here. We're ready to make it.
Yes. Also, the Giorno, when you zoom in on his room, every now and again he pulls out the turtle.
That's also pretty good.
Yes.
What do you think are the chances of the turtle eventually being made into a character?
A playable character? Probably not. But there is a furniture item of Coco Jumbo where you can put him in the
Mm.
room and he will walk around on the floor.
All right, all right. That's good enough. For now, we'll see when time change.
He is technically a stand user, and Iggy and Pet Shop are in this game, so I mean,
Exactly.
you never know.
Get ready for a third voice character, the
Coco
turtle.
Jumbo.
Coco Jumbo. The great thing is that it will have everyone else talking over him, like in a like astonishingness of just like it's none of his voice lines are from him.
It's just all the other Passione characters like, oh my god, the turtle.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually every single person saying, "Oh my god, the turtle."
I can get behind that.
Yeah, definitely. So, what are you feeling for Gierno here? I know, I think that's
Uh,
there. Definitely in my mind, being able to team him up with someone from his parts does a good. I think helps elevate him a bit on the scale for me personally. I like it when
yeah,
combos are canon.
yep. Also, it's funny because it's Giorno and Abacchio, and obviously Abacchio is the one that likes Giorno the least of the team.
Yeah, so it's also funny that the one that's least, the one
Right,
that likes him least, is the one he's best with.
right. I'm going 5 out of 5 for Giorno,
Yeah,
which
I
also
feel
fits
that's the
as he is
same
the
way.
Part 5 JoJo.
And he's voiced, which is really cool.
Yes, only 2 in the game, and I love them both.
Exactly. You should love and appreciate voiced characters.
Yes, always.
Mm-hmm. All right then.
So
Is
are
that
you agreeing with 5 out of 5?
Yes, I'm agreeing with 5 out of 5. My bad. It's a five
Okay,
out of five from
excellent. So that is our big boy
the best
scale
player has spoken.
edition. So far, all of the JoJos. So I did want to say real quick before we go on to questions, um,
Mm-hmm.
that the Jonathan and Dio banner goes away in a little bit. I think on the 31st, so the very last day of March, which means that after that we should probably be getting a banner with Spice Girls or Spice Girl.
Mm.
Um,
I was about to say the is it a crossover? They're finally just
yeah,
getting.
all of the Spice Girls are coming in. Yeah,
It'd
so
be interesting.
for Trish and Spice Girl, which will be our first Trish. We do not have a Trish yet,
Oh, really?
but we will
Interesting.
probably get one when she gets Spice Girl next week in the show. Or if we don't get it right next week,
Oh,
we'll
that makes
probably get it
sense.
shortly afterward. Because we got all the other Passione guys came out when they got like highlighted in the show.
Oh, so they're following along. That's
Yeah.
very good.
And then like the voiced Bruno came out after the confrontation between him and King Crimson.
Mm. Okay, so they're hitting at peak moments.
Yes, yes, they are capitalizing on the big moments. So we will probably Spice Girl is next in line. I don't know if
All
we'll
right.
get Notorious B.I.G.
Because of copyright?
Well, no,
Because
because it's a Japanese game, but just
well, that's
because I don't know how you would do it because it doesn't even have a stand user. The guy dies, so I don't know.
yes.
But we're definitely getting Spice
That would be
Girl.
fun. That'd be pretty funny if it was like one character's just
Oh my
dead.
god, it would actually be hilarious if he was just laying on the ground. If a
It's
sprite
just
was just a
dead.
corpse.
It was just the corpse. So that when you went to go visit the corpse, it was just a corpse.
That would actually be hilarious. Okay, I want it now.
Go for it. Again,
Uh,
just because something is unique doesn't mean you should stop yourself from trying to make
slide
it.
that by Iraqi as well. Make sure it gets in the game.
No, I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him. I'm always talking to him about how Notorious B.I.G. should be in more games.
Yeah, we need him in more games. All right, so let's move on to questions. We got the first one here from Lay Name has arrived. All right, at Daz
Nice.
Dumble. He said, "What are good score attack teams for those who missed Part 4 Jotaro and they also can't pull Fugo for shit?" I got bad news. There pretty much isn't one. If you look at the score attack rankings, for this one, you can use the new Jotaro and Abakio. A lot of people are using them, and it's coming out pretty well. But if you're not using those two, you're pretty much using Fugo or Part 4 Jotaro. Those guys are just like the machine that makes characters run. Like you could use Rohan
Yeah.
or Mista or Shigechi or Koichi. There's even a guy in here using a Part 3 Old Joseph. I'm seeing some Caesars.
Wow.
Yeah, but like they need the either the Fugo or the Jotaro to make it work, you know? The one guy in the top 100 that I see that is not using either one of those two is using Abakio and Caesar. I don't know how that
That's a weird
works.
combo.
Yeah, I don't know how it all that's coming together, but I mean, I guess you could do man, it's hard. Okuyasu's really good, just like a general use good character. Shigetsu's just a general use good character. Koichi's general use good character. Stroheim, those kind of guys. But when you don't have the engine that capitalizes on those characters, like Fugo or Part 4 Jotaro would, it's hard, man. I mean, there's
Yeah.
plenty of characters you can break the 1.5 million with to get the prize, but like if you want to rank, I don't know that you can rank very highly without those. You're not going to top 100 without at least one of those two for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is kind of the thing of like this is what happens with someone's when dominant characters get released is that you're gonna have to get used to the fact of like for a while. The good thing is that when the first dominant character was released, the seal is broken. After the seal is broken, you'll eventually see more characters on their level be released, but until that happens, you're just going to see a lot of one character. You're going to see a lot of this one kind of these like one or two people just dominating everything you see until more units like him are released and eventually like you're actually able to get them.
Right,
But the
and
beginning
it's a struggle because on one hand they make a lot of characters good, like Koichi and like they're generally good characters, but with someone like Fugo or Part 4 Jotaro, they make
Mhm.
people like Mista good or Baron Zeppeli or those kind of characters. But then on the other hand, all those characters really aren't that good if you don't have those guys there to help them. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, definitely. So you're just gonna have to hold on tight.
Pretty much, yeah. Pull like crazy for Part 4 Jotaro when he comes back, or any banner in which
Yes.
Fugo is featured.
Or save for the anniversary.
Yeah, that too. That's a little ways away though.
Also,
You might be here for a while if you're doing that.
it depends on how bad your luck is.
That's true. All right, so the next question is Matt, hashtag Retorico at Master M, and he says, "What are the key points of a good character?" That's a very good question. So the main key points which you're looking out for when you're looking for a good character is, of course, what their skill does. Obviously, that's kind of a big deal. And
Mm-hmm.
then the second most important thing is the cooldown time on their skill. So Fugo, for example, is the second best character in the game. His cooldown time is 50, which is great. It's really fast, especially for what he does. And then he is an eraser that pops the top 4 rows, and he leaves behind charge tiles that other characters can break for bonus damage. So when you have a game like this, it's inevitable that a lot of people's skills are going to overlap. Stuff like Jonathan and Joseph, they don't really do anything for one another. They are more or less the same skill, just Jonathan's is better because it's more predictable. So when you have a character like Part 4 Jotaro or Fugo, or someone that provides a service that no one else in the game can replicate, that's when you know that it's a character that you want. Now, that's not 100% always the case because obviously Abakio does that as well, and he really just doesn't have it. But if you look at Abakio's skill, you of course can tell one, its cooldown is 80, so it's very slow in comparison to Fugo's. And two, based on the way it works, it has no self sufficiency. It's entirely dependent on its ally character. Whereas Fugo or Jotaro are not dependent on another character at all to do what they want to do. So basically, if you're looking at what makes a good character, one, they're self sufficient, they don't really care who's with them. There are people that work better with them or that make them better, like Fugo has allies that he prefers, but he can also run just fine on his own if he has to. Two, their skills are fast and they matter a lot. So when I say matter a lot, I mean that they're going to use it a lot, and every time they use it, it's going to have a huge impact. There's not going to be a situation where you're going to use it and go, ah, shit, I fucked it up. I got nothing for this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
then three, they elevate the characters around them. Like, look, Mista was pretty much considered one of the worst characters in the entire game until Fugo came out, and now Fugo and Mista is a top tier team. It's like probably a top 5 team in the game.
Yeah, so you definitely want to look out for those kind of units that are like, basically, as Zen said, because he's already summed it up perfectly fine. There's nothing more I can add.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a rambly answer, but more or less, one, they provide a unique ability that someone else doesn't have. Two, their skill is very impactful every time that it's used, and of course, good cooldown on the skill. Just the skill in general is good. I guess that kind of goes without saying.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I lost myself in my ramble right there. But yeah, sorry that answer was kind of rambly. Hopefully you got what I meant. If you didn't, at me on Twitter, and I'll try to explain it better when I have a little bit more time to think.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right, next up is from Remix175. He says, explain a little bit more about having friends in the game benefits you. It does not in any way except for score attack. So in score attack, there's 2 scores. There's your own score and how it ranks globally. And then there is your friend list score. So your global score, you get ranked on and you get prizes for, and then your friend list score also has prizes. So like if you get your friends list's total score attack score over 45 million, you get a golden chest. If you are only over 37.5 million, you get a silver chest instead. So You want to have a lot of friends who do well in score attack so you can get all of the score attack rewards. That's the only benefit to having them.
Yeah. And I actually thought for a second there he was going to ask us what are the benefits of having friends.
Just in general?
And I was like, yeah, just in general. And yeah, just like in real life, you use them for score attack.
Yeah, exactly. Our
Their
next
score
one is
attack is
from
fun.
at SoStarBoard. He says, I would like to know what's the best combo to run. Currently, I am using Sticky Fingers Bucciarati, which I assume means the voiced one, and Mista.
Mm-hmm.
Best team in the game right now is Part 4 Jotaro and Fugo, no questions. That is 100%
It's
it.
when you put the Reese's peanut butter cup together. It's the chocolate and the peanut butter.
It's the chocolate and the peanut butter of this game, 100%. Next is from at Naw61 Barito, and he says, if you're using a team like Fugo and a destroyer, such as Okuyasu or Mista, should you use the abilities on cooldown, save them for stand-up time, or use Fugo to trigger stand time quickly and then use the other ability during? That's kind of a hard question because the answer is all of them, depending on how the game is going. You sort of have to tell on the fly. So there's kind of a rhythm when it comes to abilities and stand-up time. If you look back at the video where I have Jotaro and Fugo together that I made, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where Fugo pops in stand-up time goes off. As soon as it ends, Jotaro goes. So with Fugo and a destroyer, it's kind of up to you, I guess. Because when you have a destroyer like, say, Okuyasu, we'll use him. He also has the benefit of charging a lot of star gauge when he goes off. So you can get into stand-up time, use Fugo, use Okuyasu, then play your stand-up time because it hasn't started running at all. And by the time that's done, your Fugo is probably pretty close to ready to go again. So then you can pop Fugo and then save Okuyasu for the stand-up time, or if you think that you have too far to go, you can use Okuyasu again and try to build him back up. Because you got to remember, when you have two destroyers like that, they're bumping each other's skill gauges. So generally, my recommendation would be push the limit as much as you can, at least in 1 or 2 runs, and just try to see what your timing is like. Because a lot of that, too, depends on your skill level. Like at skill level 5 with Fugo and Mista or Okuyasu, you can pretty much just rifle them off on cooldown because they're always going off. At lower skill levels, you'll have to see kind of how fast you're getting the cooldowns through, because you don't want to end up in a point where you use both of your cooldowns to trigger the stand-up time. Now you're not getting any bonus damage, and then they end, and then you're still not ready to go again. So I don't have a great answer because I don't know the skill level of your characters, but generally you got to feel it out. I would try to use it in stand-up time as much as possible.
Yeah. So to basically sum up, it kind of depends on the situation you're in.
Yeah, it depends on what you're working with and the situation of the fight that you're in. But if you have to choose between stand-up time and not, and you cannot do both, always pick stand-up time. Yeah. Next is from at FreakStealer112. His display name is Yoshikage Kira, and his icon is Killer Queens. That's pretty great.
It's a good combo.
Yep. He says, is Mista any good? I only use him because he's my favorite character, but I don't know if I should replace him with someone else or not. Mista is really, 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 really good if you have Fugo. If you don't have Fugo, no, you probably shouldn't be using Mista. That's all I can really say about that.
If Fugo, yes. If no Fugo, no.
Correct. Next is Jose0210. He says, how do I level up my characters? Characters level up by using either green level tickets on the status page or by just playing stages. They get experience points. And then there's actually, if you look at your stage list, there's a green looking banner with like orange up arrows on it. That is the experience stage. So you grind the last stage of that, and that's the most experience points you get out of any gameplay.
There you go.
Next up is at, Nikis Rolinhos, maybe? What exactly is rush time, and how do you achieve it consistently? Rush time is a bonus thing after you've already beaten the boss, where you can just add on a little bit extra damage. So it's really not that big of a deal, like, to get it, unless it's one of the stage requirements. A lot of the story stage requirements are you get whatever the reward for the stage is if you trigger rush time. The way to achieve it consistently is just to beat stages quickly. That's all there is to it. Just beat him as quick as you can.
A brush to the finish.
Pretty much. Next up is from at Slime X Hunter. I don't know if that's like Hunter X Hunter or Hunter Hunter. Is it just Slime Hunter? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, in X, Japan means crossover, so that means
so slime from Dragon Quest crossed over
Yeah,
with
from
Monster
Dragon
Hunter.
Quest.
Yeah.
Now that's a game I'd play. If
Slime
Monster
Hunter.
Hunter just had a big ass fucking king slime.
And he says, how to grind diamonds out. Play. That's pretty much all there is to it.
There you go.
Always play every event. Don't ever let them sit.
Look
Because
at
I
the
see it like,
adjective.
this game does not give you a ton of premium currency to use because you only need 2 characters as a team. So you can get someone like Part 4 Jotaro and Fugo or whatever and just never pull again. So it really doesn't give you a ton. It's not like Legends or Dokkan where they're dropping a new thing every fucking week and you have to have it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's not one of them kind of games.
Yeah, play all your events. Learn who is good and who is not good to pull on. If you don't know, ask somebody that does know. Because if you're going to try to farm up pulls on every single banner, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rose YT hashtag Watch JoJo wants to know about the friend system. We already talked about that. Fildo at Fildo Baggins.
Fildo.
Fildo Baggins.
Fildo Baggins.
He says, what character types synergize the best, as in replacers with enhancers, character combos? It sort of depends because there's not really a good answer for character types as much as it is character layout. So, like, you have characters like Jonathan who change the board really well, but Abakio really doesn't work great with Jonathan because Jonathan's transform pattern doesn't fit with Abakio in the way that Giorno's does. Or, you know, and like replacers, enhancers, all that kind of stuff. That's mostly just a label. It's not really like character classes. So it really firmly depends on the layout of the skill. That's really all there is to it. Like an eraser like Wamu, people always say, oh, Fugo's really great with erasers because erasers can break his tile. But like if you look at Wamu, Wamu doesn't even touch his tiles. So you really can't go with like, oh, Fugo plus eraser is good because it doesn't work in that instance. So unfortunately, I don't have a very good answer for that. But generally the best characters in the game are erasers because they charge a big chunk of stand like Star Gauge all at one time. So that's why, you know, Fugo, Okuyasu, they're just good and they're consistently good, is because they bring that additional benefit to their ally of charging their ability gauge really quickly. Let's see.
Yeah, makes sense.
Take in JoJo at VRoberto456 wants to know the fastest way to level up units. We talked about that. Pablo Joestar at Red Hair Pirates. Pablo Joestar. There you go. There's your first Hispanic JoJo. I guess that would be a low Joe.
That'd be a low JoJo.
Yeah.
That's the father of Jose Joestar.
So he's the George Joestar.
Exactly. He's George.
This says a character tier list. That's a little bit extensive for this kind of video, but I will tell you I'll tell you what I think the top 5 characters are.
Rattle them off.
Part 4 Jotaro, Fugo, Okuyasu, Shigechi, and Stroheim. That's my top 5, personally.
Makes sense.
Now there's from Bob. It's just Bob. At Bob and a bunch of numbers. Maybe that's his phone number. Someone should try calling that.
Yeah, please call Bob.
Call Bob up. What are the different types of characters in the game? I know about tile changers, then that's one, but what are the others and what do they do? So tile changers, obviously, like you said, they change tiles into their own. Erasers are characters that erase tiles instead of changing them, so they just straight up delete them off the board. That's what you want to do with like broken tiles like Fugo's. If you change Fugo's charge tiles with a tile changer, it doesn't do anything. You just lose out on the damage. But if you break them with an eraser like Fugo or Mista or Okuyasu, you do get the bonus damage from having shattered the tile. So that's what an eraser does. There are people who are, I guess, reverse tile changer is the way I would put it. I don't really know. But instead of changing tiles to their own, you have people like Rohan or Old Joseph who change tiles based on their ally. So Rohan changes tiles to his ally's tiles. Joseph changes only his ally's tiles to his own. So they're kind of weird tile changers.
Yeah.
You have chargers. So chargers is weird because there's 2 definitions for it, and people seem to use them both fucking interchangeably, so it's super annoying.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So when people say charger, they're either referring to someone that builds up skill gauge very quickly, like Okuyasu, or someone that literally charges tiles on the board, like Koichi. Charge tiles just get a damage multiplier. That's all they do. And then you have a couple weirdos like Abakio who doesn't really fit into any category, but, you know.
A to be determined category.
Correct. So Trioptic Gaming says, how does it work? You move the puzzles around and you make them match up.
There you go. We
Yep.
have finally answered. I will tell Rocky that's how he should explain things from now on.
Correct. At Jack the Blue Boy says, how do you know what you're doing? It's all in Japanese. Yeah, but all the gameplay is just pictures of faces. Pictures of faces is the universal language.
Yeah, it is really fun. There are some games where it's like I have no idea what I'm doing, but at a certain point, there are actual friends of mine who think that I know Japanese because I play Dokkan. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, you just don't need to know. Like, all you really need to be able to know in this game is, one, what the stage clear requirements are, which you can very easily Google Translate for yourself. And then, two, what the character skills do, which you can very easily just ask and someone will tell you, because there are people that translate that shit so they can play. You don't need to be able to find it all on your own, because there's always people in a community that's there to help you do it.
It actually reminds me of back in our collection days. I actually had to. I didn't remember everyone's skills, but there was a good amount of characters I just knew by heart what they did, just because eventually people just kept asking me.
Huh, that's fair.
So it's like, you go, here's what they all do, and here's why you're dying. It's because you're bad.
Fair enough.
You skipped.
That's fair enough. And I think that's about it. That's about it for this episode. Episode 74.
Yeah. So episode 74 of Patter Be Poppin.
Mm-hmm.
One day I'm gonna say our name correctly, but goddamn
one of these days, it always trips you up.
Always. That's actually why we made it that way. So eventually I would actually get rid of my fucking dumbass way of saying things.
Your terrible pronunciation problems.
Yeah, has not actually worked once yet. But one day.
One day. So thank you for watching episode 74 of JoJo Pitter Patter Be Poppin'. We will see you guys next time for episode 75. Spicy Lady.
See you later, Spicy Lady. Tacos!